Greetings YouTube, my name is Alex and I am the Reef Dork, and today I'm going to give you 5 tips for setting up a reef aquarium that you might not get at your local fish shop. Let's check it out. Number 5 then is vinyl wrapping your sump. Now cabinets, especially black wood, can be pretty dark places, so white vinyl on the outside of your sump will really brighten it up. It just makes it easier to see what you're doing when you're tinkering. Now ideally you'll do all sides and the bottom for maximum effect, and that will let you see detritus build up and any critters that are kicking around. The other benefits of doing this are that it can hide your wires if there's space behind your sump, it will reduce light spill if you've got an algae set up, and ultimately it will only cost a few pounds and it looks really neat and professional. Number 4 is to consider a manifold. Now it's very easy to end up with too many pumps in your sump. You can have a phosphate reactor, a UV sterilizer, pellet reactor, algae reactor, and so on and so on and so on. Now that takes up space in your sump and looks messy, but you also need more plug sockets as a result, and it can be noisy having several pumps all going at the same time. The alternative is to install a manifold. It's basically a pipe that runs off either your return pump or a single dedicated pump that has several taps to allow you to connect all your other filters. This way you only need to buy one pump, which is therefore cheaper, and it will mean that you only have to clean one pump, so you're reducing your maintenance output. Now it does involve a bit of DIY, but it is easy and it's well worth the effort. If you want really precise adjustments, you can use gate valves, but I've used ball valves which do the job just fine, and they're also cheaper and smaller than gate valves. As well as running filters off this, you can also just plug a length of hose onto one of the spare ones and use it to take water out when you're doing water changes. And finally, this is another mod that makes your sump look neat and professional. Number 3 on my list of things people don't tell you when you're setting up a marine tank is that floating algae magnets suck. When you're setting up your first tank, the most common algae scraper you'll see are these floating types. For the light dusting of algae that will build up every day, they're just about okay. But if you don't dust daily, and we all get lazy, the algae builds up and becomes much stronger. At that point, they are totally and utterly useless. So enter magnets with a scraper. The most common ones are made by Tunzi and Flipper. I have the Tunzi one and it's fantastic. In my experience, it doesn't scratch the glass and it makes cleaning algae much less of a chore, which means you're much more likely to do it. And I tell you what, a clean tank is a happy tank, and you'll enjoy your aquarium a lot more if it looks nice and shiny. Number 2 on my list is an absolutely crucial one, and that is to run a magnet through sand before it goes in your tank. Now we're all told to wash sand before it goes in to get rid of any dust particles, but what you're not told is that there can be metal in sand. Now traces of metal are poisonous to corals and invertebrates and can affect things like colour, growth and health. And actually on a worst case scenario, they can kill corals, and that's something I've experienced myself. So before you clean your sand, make sure you run a magnet through it to get rid of any metal. You might be surprised at just how much you find. In this 4 kilogram bag of sand, I found enough to cause you real problems, and you might want to bear in mind that in an average 4-foot tank, you might need 5 times as much sand. So do yourself a favour and make sure none of this goes in your tank. And as a nice Brucey bonus, that floating algae magnet you're about to replace is perfect for this job. So my number 1 tip that people don't tell you when you're setting up a marine aquarium is to make your own RO and salt water. Now it's very easy to be put off this, but it's a lot less daunting than it looks. If you buy salt water from a local fish shop, it's expensive. In fact, it will probably cost more to fill a tank with salt water from your local fish shop than it will to buy an RO filter and a bucket of salt mix. So the RO filter pays for itself. But more importantly, it gives you control over the quality of your water. An RO filter strips out all impurities and leaves you with nice clean water. You can measure the quality of your water with a TDS meter, or total dissolved solid meter. You should always aim for 0 TDS, but if you ask your local fish shop, you might be in for a surprise. Mine told me that they run it between 20 and 100 TDS. Now I wouldn't flush my toilet with that water. Dirty RO water can be a common cause of algae, metals and general ill health in your corals. So getting it right yourself, particularly right from the start, is essential. You'll also find that mixing salt water is actually really easy. You just add salt powder to the RO, then test the salinity till it's at the level you want. Having an RO filter also gives you convenience because you will need it to top up your freshwater top off every week. So it'll save you lugging barrels of water back and forwards from your local fish shop. In fact, if you only take one thing away from this video, take this. It will make a massive difference to your tank. So those are my top 5 tips then. If you think there are other things that would be helpful, stick them in the comment section below. And in the meantime, if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and check out some of my other content. Until next time, I have been the Reef Doc. Thank you, good night.